Hello, my passenger friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Carffice Podcast, my car office. I'm your host, Greg Gross. Please buckle up and enjoy the ride. Episode 10. I have no idea what that was, and I'll probably never do it again. But you're lucky you heard it that time. Oh my goodness, we're on episode 10. And man, just thinking back, I know it might not seem like a lot, but this is coming from someone that I never thought I'd do a podcast in my life, even though I love talking. But to be able to put up two hands and realize that this is my 10th episode of the Carffice Podcast, for me, it's a big milestone. So if you've been here since episode 1, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for subscribing, liking, posting, sharing, passing it along, the comments, the suggestions. I know I've talked to some of you and you've given me your feedback, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you for your support to the Carffice Podcast. Hey, and if you're new here and this is your first episode, welcome to the Carffice Podcast. And you know what? This is kind of like a documentary of my life. I'm kind of wrapping up season 1 here over the course of the next few episodes. And then, you know what? Who knows where this crazy, awesome ride's going to take us. Here's the cool thing. Do you hear that? I'm not sure if you hear that, but if you do, I'm okay with that. I am literally sitting in my Carffice, and this is the first time in an episode where it is, it's raining outside. Like, it's raining pretty hard. And I have no idea if this is going to be picked up over the video, the audio. Well, if you're watching it, you might be able to see the water on the windows. But if you're just listening to this, I am going to be very curious to go back and listen to see if you guys can hear the rain. I mean, that's the thing. When your office is your car, and it's your car office, it's your Carffice, hey, you got to be ready. Lightning, sleet, hail, sunshine, tornadoes, earthquakes. By the way, this is an interesting fact. Did you know that I don't know how to say it, but the most dangerous earthquake line actually runs through Erie, Pennsylvania, but it's been dormant for like ever. But like literally, if it went off, it would be, and it goes right through a power plant. What is that? Like, that makes no sense. It goes right through a power plant. They were really thinking through that one. But there you go. There's a little history, a little education for you. But hey, here we go. Episode 10 of the Carffice. Enjoy the background noise of the rain. And, you know, you're welcome. You are welcome. Well, hey, recap. Episode 9. Actually, you know, over the course of the last couple episodes, and I really encourage you to go back if you haven't listened to those. I mean, if you haven't listened to any of the Carffice podcasts, go back into episode 1. But the last couple episodes, I've been going into my vocational ministry positions. I started off in Delano. That was a humdinger. And then I talked about Beloit last week. That was a doozy. All these fun words. And today, I'm starting a 3-part series on good old Burlington, Wisconsin. Yes, hello, all my friends out there. Many of you I consider even like family, near and dear to my heart. But this has to be a 3-part. I was going back and forth. I'm like 1, 2, 3, and it has to be 3 parts because I'm actually going to be splitting this up between 3 different sections because I was there for, you know, about pretty much 6 years. And so this first part 1 is going to be from July of 2013 through August of 2015. So that's what I'm going to be talking about on this episode. So if you were around during that time, July of 2013 through August of 2015. Part 2 will be September 2015 through August 2017. And part 3 will be September 2017 through August 2019. And so, hey, I think I'm done with the introductions. Are you ready to dig in? Are you ready to dig in? Let's go on to Burlington. And I will say this as I go into this episode, just like I went into Delano and Beloit. over these next 3 parts of Burlington, I just want to remind you, these are my lived experiences. Obviously, other people were with me during this time. They've had their own experiences, their own opinions, all that kind of stuff. But this is the Carffice Podcast, and I'm your host, Greg Gross. And so I'm going to be talking about what I saw, what I heard, what I experienced, what my opinions are. Obviously, the good, bad, the ugly, all that kind of stuff. And if any of you that are from Burlington would love to share your side or your opinions or your lived experiences with the things that I'm about to share, hey, you want to know something really cool? You can start a podcast too, and you can share yours. So I just want to always make sure that I remind you all about that, just so you know, like, hey, it's kind of like, it's a free country. At least I still believe it to be. So where do I start? July of 2013. A little bit of repetition here, a little bit of, you're going to hear some things probably twice, 3 times, but it's okay, especially because some of you, this is your first Carffice. But me and my wife were living in Oconomowoc after we transitioned out of Beloit, and we were living there from, pretty much July of 2013 through December of 2013. And again, that was a hard season. I was getting sick again. I was really sick during that time. That's when my mentor called me up from the main campus in Kenosha and said, I got the perfect job for you. There's no pay, but you are perfect for the job. Isn't that great? Well, again, like I shared before, this man is still one of my mentors, and I trust him, still do, with all my life, all my heart. And I was like, you know what? Either hang it up or keep going. Keep going. And I knew I was going to keep going. It was a dream. It was another dream come true, honestly, to work under him and on the same team. So I said yes. The wife said okay, but we were still in Oconomowoc, which was like an hour and a half, hour 15 away from Burlington. And Burlington was the first multi-site of the church at this church in Kenosha. And so it was called Journey Church, and they were making a multi-site. And Burlington was the first campus for that multi-campus church. And so it was pretty cool to be a part of that experience. The church that was in Burlington before that, the pastor there reached out to the campus in Kenosha, said, hey, would you like to come together, create this multi-site? Bada bing, bada boom. I came in about 6 months after when that started. Wasn't the prettiest, I heard. There's bumps and roads, and different people have, again, opinions and stuff like that. Nothing can ever really be done perfect, not even in the church world. Did you know that? Well, if you listened to the past couple episodes, you hopefully learned that. But it was really cool. It was really cool to be a part of a multi-site, reaching more people. And both campuses were only about a half an hour away from each other. So we drove back and forth, mostly me, Sundays, Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. So I would drive to Burlington with Courtney when she could make it on a Wednesday, stay overnight at our good buddy's house in Kenosha, who we went to college with. Love them, you know who you are. And they let us stay over at their home, sleep there Wednesday night, because then I had staff meeting Thursday morning there still in Kenosha. And I did that for like 6 months. Probably 4 or 5 months. And I was sick. Oh my goodness, was I more and more sick. I don't even know why I did that. It's called dedication and probably a little bit of foolishness and stupidity, okay? I'm just going to say it now. Looking back, it really was. It was my choice. And it probably wasn't the wisest thing. But I was honored. I was excited. I was in it. And, I'm a pioneer. That's why I got my pioneer tattoo over here. And I was just excited to be a part of something again. And something that honestly was a way more healthier than the last 2 places I was a part of. So I traveled, like I said, 2-3 times a week, an hour and 15 minutes one way to be a part of this multi-site campus. It was just growing. The church, the main church, was probably only about 100 people, a little bit more. Youth group was maybe 10 to 15, but it was exciting. It was super exciting because there's a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. It was just starting up, and people are excited. People were excited for what was next and what could take place here in this city of Burlington, Wisconsin, which, by the way, I'm repping the Burlington wrestling t-shirt today. I'll get into that a little bit more later. The orange, you can't really see. I got orange shorts on. This is Burlington wrestling. And yes, the mascot at that high school was the Demons. I always felt like, you know what perfect mascot for God to have a sense of humor, going in there, bringing Jesus and the mascot's Demons. Come on now. Still love it. It was a little scary. My kids, when they were younger, they're like, Daddy, what's that? What's that creature? So it is what it is, people. Chocolate City, which now they're changing Burlington. It's not the Chocolate City anymore. It's crazy. Funny story, they tried to change the mascot to a Hershey Kiss one time, but it looked like a piece of poop. So the morsels, it didn't really work out. So, all right, I'll stay on track, people. Goodness gracious. So I got more and more sick, like I said. They help pay for gas and different things like that. I wasn't brought on as a staff member yet. I was just given basically a stipend. I was given a stipend for my gas, for my time, and it helped. I mean, at that time, I was very grateful and blessed to be able to get something. And it was good. It was good for the time being, I will say. Let's see here. My goodness. So yeah, the fall went great. My first Wednesday there was, get this, September 11th of, let me see, was it September 11th of 2013 was my first Wednesday there? Yeah, I think it was. And, the students, we were just dreaming big. We were dreaming big. Oh my goodness. My notes are all over the place here. But just got involved, had the students dream big, and no, that's right. We my first Wednesday was in September. I started getting involved, starting going there, starting to get to know students, stuff like that. It was very slow process. But I actually I was just really sick. So I couldn't really do much. I was actually still leading worship and preaching, kind of on a rotation, everything like that. And so it was just crazy. But guys, you gotta have to understand, like, they took it slow with me because, one, I was sick, two, they didn't want to rush anything, three, I wasn't on staff, and it was all understandable, but I was still getting involved. Well, then I moved there actually with my family December of 2013. We got a connection. We got hooked into this, not hooked is a bad word, that was a good thing, into this upstairs of Victorian home. It was beautiful, old Victorian home built in the early, I don't even know, maybe 1900s. And we got an amazing deal, like $400 a month. So it was perfect for me and Courtney. Courtney was pregnant at the time. And so we had the upstairs. It was a little, what was it? One bedroom? I think it was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, had a living space, a kitchen. No, it was a 2 bedroom up there. And it was great. It was fantastic for that season of life. And I remember the at-home nurse coming and taking care of me. I remember I shared this on at the life story, so I'm not going to go into great detail, just to stick this more with the vocational and missional ministry side of things. And let's see, what else happened there? Oh yeah, we moved in December, and then in the new year was kind of like the first new year of 2014 was, January of, New Year of 2014, had a winter camp. It was called Bright Lights, and that was interesting because I remember speaking at that winter camp, and I was very sick because that was in February of 2014, and I still spoke. And then literally about a couple weeks after that, I was admitted into the hospital. So guys, I was pushing it. I was pushing it, and I couldn't push anymore. Was admitted to the hospital, and that I had surgery that April of 2014. That's when I had surgery. So that was pretty crazy because then I kind of like for a couple months, I wasn't involved. My good friends who were already leaders there before I even got there, which by the way, one of my best friends, when he called me up before I said yes to come in and help him, I thought he was a high school student. He was so excited on the phone. He wasn't. He was a grown adult, a grown man who's literally one of my best friends still to this day. But man, I'm going places with this, people. Thank you for your patience. But had my surgery and I talked about all that, so I'm not going to go into that. And then probably from April, May, June, I was kind of out of commission until I kind of came back around June. We were doing car washes, doing chilling grills. We had summer camp. I went to summer camp that July. Jesus above it all. Like literally, God was doing a work in me. I was able to go to summer camp, and then we kicked things off that fall. Like I was there that fall, and that's when we did like our first like friends night that fall, which again, a friends night was something we had, let's see here, got some notes. It was like a red carpet event. We remember when I came in, we had about 10-15 students. Well, by the time it was friends night in, what was this now? October of 2014, it was this huge outreach. We had pumpkin smash, toss, car smash, and all this like giveaways and free food. We had like 50 students there that night. So tripled in size, had over 30 decisions for Jesus. It was just awesome. Like it was just really cool because the students, as I was getting back and I was more healthy, really started building a relationship with the adult leaders, the students. I actually started let me see here. That summer of 2014, like I already said, I forgot this. I forgot a really important point here. Summer of 2014, I was hired on by Youth for Christ. So a few months after surgery. There's my hat if you're watching YouTube, my campus life hat. And so that was huge. A father figure in my life that runs Youth for Christ, Southeastern Wisconsin, he brought me on, and so grateful for that because money was hard. Remember, the multi-site campus I was at in Burlington couldn't pay me at all except for a little stipend. So Youth for Christ brought me on, and I was going to be doing campus life, getting into the schools, which I loved, and I was already trying to do that. And I was also driving Pizza Hut during that time too. So I was delivering pizzas in Burlington probably 4 days a week, and I was getting a little stipend from the church, and then I was working for campus life, or I was working for Youth for Christ part-time. So that was pretty cool. But that summer, again, we were doing car washes, chilling girls, where we hanged out at the beach and did different things with the students. We had summer camp, that 2014, Jesus above it all. That was really crazy summer camp for me. Every summer camp is crazy and emotional, but that was emotional because I was back in the game. I felt back in the game for the first time probably in a couple summers because I was so sick and everything I went through with my sickness in ministry. And I got to go back to the camp that I grew up at, Spencer Lake, where I literally grew up, and I got to go back to that campground once again, but with our new church. And so I'm telling you, people, so many emotions, up and down, up and down, up and down, roller coaster, roller coaster, roller coaster. And then that January, let me see here. We launched life groups, ammo and mix. Come on, where you at? If you're listening to this, we launched life groups in Burlington, which was huge because we got to a place where we had a solid group of middle schoolers, solid group of high schoolers. So the mix was a middle school group, and ammo was the high school group, and that brought us into winter camp. Once again. And so that was pretty cool because that came right out of, like I said, another friends night. And I think I lost my place here. Where are we right now? where are we right now? We had youth summer camp in 2014, Jesus Above It All. That was right after surgery. Okay, I was with Waterford High School. I went with Burlington High School. Might be going to Union Grove High School, but that didn't work out. I can't handle 3 high schools. So I was involved in Waterford High School for campus life, after school programs with students in the schools. Pretty stinking awesome. Burlington, it took a little bit longer to get up and running because didn't have things established quite yet. So I had to build connections there. But Waterford was already established before I got there. And you know who all you Waterford students are. Again, I try my best not to, use names and stuff like that. So, man, those were good times. Those were good years in Waterford while that lasted. Didn't stay there the whole time I was in Burlington. I'll probably come back to that. I was able to transition out of there a few years down the road and just focus on Burlington campus. Never got involved in Union Grove. And then October of 2014, coming around the mountain of 2014, that is when we had another friends night called Camo Night. Come on now. And that was pretty good. For some reason, we kind of I think, you always track numbers. We went down in numbers a little bit, but it was pretty cool. We all dressed up in camo, I believe. We had probably around another 40, 50 students, had about 10 to 12 decisions for Jesus. So it was pretty cool. Pretty awesome night. We had the best Christmas parties, by the way. Every Christmas, we'd throw together Christmas parties, all these games, all this food. So we did that right before the new year would roll over. And then, let's see here. Oh, and then January of 2015 came. Why was January of 2015 significant? Well, it was significant because, again, when I came in, just, little recap here. When I came in pretty much the summer of 2013, started driving all that time, put in all that time. I was dying, worked through, went to a winter camp in early 2014, had surgery in April 2014, was good enough to go to do camp, car washes and chilling grills, and then went to the Jesus Above It All summer camp in 2014, got into the fall, did our first, not our first friends night, but another friends night. And basically, I think it was our first friends night. And then the thing is, it launched life groups, was hired on from Youth for Christ in July 2014. A lot happened, but January of 2015 was significant. I hope you're staying with me. And you know what? If this has been confusing, you're welcome. All right. I have notes and I still am getting lost. So I tried. I really did. But January of 2015 was big because that is when the campus in Burlington was able to bring me on part-time as their official youth pastor. I mean, I was basically their pastor. Everyone called me P. Greg, Pastor Greg, but I mean, I really was just a youth director or whatever on paper, but I was officially the new youth pastor of the Burlington campus, and it felt great. It was obviously more than a stipend. I was able to do that part-time and Youth for Christ part-time. I didn't have to do Pizza Hut anymore. Glory, hallelujah. And which, again, I actually enjoyed Pizza Hut, not that bad. I love driving around, getting things done. I was able to have phone calls, good tips too. It served its means, and I was super grateful. I think for all those people out there, I'm just going to say, no one who has ever done bivocational, like you've had to do outside of the 4 walls and do another job. I mean, hear my heart, you just don't get it. You don't. For all my bivocational peeps out there, you get it. It's a different world, and you're working your butt off to provide for your families, and just keep going. It's worth it. I mean, nothing against the full-time vocational ministry. I'm not saying you didn't earn that, deserve that. That's the road God's brought you on. I'm not saying you're better than or bivocational or better than. It's just different pros and cons and experiences. And what I mean by you don't get it is obviously you don't get it. If you've never been bivocational, obviously you don't get it. So it wasn't supposed to be a knock. I'm just letting you know, and I wanted to shout out all my bivocational friends because you get it. It's a different type of grind, and many of you are working full time, like in the church, and have to do full time outside. And by the way, there's no such thing as part-time ministry. It's full-time regardless. It might be part-time pay or no time pay, but it takes time and effort. I remember going in the January, especially with all the momentum we were having, and really trying to build my adult leadership team at that time, really focusing on bringing adults around these students, because we started hitting momentum and started growing through the camps and through, now we have life groups and the friends night, and we're getting momentum. So really wanted to start really pouring into my adult leaders and adding more and recruiting more adult leaders so we could disciple more students, because that's what it's all about. And I had my core group of students, but we didn't have something called like student leadership yet. I'll talk about that in next episodes, where we really started focusing on that. And I wish I would have started focusing on student leadership earlier. So for all you out there listening to this, like you haven't started on student leadership and you're young in ministry or this or that, start with student leadership. I would even say start with student leadership first. 5, 10 students. I mean, Jesus had 12. And get them going, disciple them, and give them ownership of the youth ministry. So then we went into a Friends Night in April of 2015, and we had a live music and drama. So the same live music and drama that we did when I was in Delano, remember way back in Delano where we had that big D night? We did that same drama in Burlington, April of 2015, and it was amazing. It was just amazing. Students did a remarkable job. You students, if you remember that back then and you played a part, or anyway, it was great. The turnout was not as great as I would have hoped. We really just pushed it. It was such a powerful drama, but we still had 50 to 60 students, 31 decisions for Jesus. And again, it's just stacking consistency, just trying to reach more of the city, trying to build a name in the city of Burlington to make sure people knew they had a safe place to send their students to experience Jesus, to build relationships, all that kind of stuff, and if they needed a church home. So then that went into the summer, basically more car washes, more chilling grills. But this summer, this was probably one of my favorite summers I've ever had in ministry, which, by the way, I totally forgot to share this about when I talked about Beloit. We did something called Project Beloit, and it was a mission trip inside the city, where we went around the city for a whole week, slept at the church, did all these service projects, and had services at night. And that tied with this, what I learned there, I brought to Burlington. So what I learned in Delano, I brought to Beloit to Burlington. It all connects. But this Project Beloit, we brought to Burlington in the summer of 2015. Probably one of the most amazing summers I've ever had in ministry. And we did Project Burlington, and I should have found my shirt. It was light blue. That's what I should have wore too, along with this. I should have done like a wardrobe change. But Project Burlington was absolutely phenomenal. I think we had 20, 30 students. We slept in the church. We went out and served at a senior living home, like a Love Inc., a food pantry. We cleaned out all the lockers in the high school. We cleaned up parks. We did a kids park adventure thing. We had fun days. We did services at night. I'll tell you, one of the services we did at Project Burlington, this was in June of 2015. We did a foot washing ceremony. Okay, and Jesus washed his disciples' feet. I taught on that, and guy leaders watch guy leaders' feet, and girl leaders watch girl leaders' feet, and then the adult leaders watch the girls' students' feet, and the guy adult leaders watch the guy students' feet. And we went down the line, and I'm telling you, Jesus showed up that night, because I truly believe when you pour out to others, Jesus pours out to you. And I'm telling you, I mean, if you ever been a part of something like this, it was everyone's weeping, crying. Jesus' spirit just fell that night there in that building. One of the most powerful, most amazing experiences I've had with students, and I'll never forget it. If you were at Project Burlington, you know what I'm talking about. But it was just cool, so cool to serve the city. We just, like I said, very easy missions trip. Everything was in-house. The cost, I think, per student was like $50-$60. All the food, a lot of the food was provided by families for the dinners, and we actually got to tour like McDonald's, and they provided that, and different sponsorships. And I'm telling you, this was incredible. It was a lot of work, but I already did it in Beloit, so I just kind of pretty much just transferred it over to Burlington, and Project Burlington 2015, unstinking believable. I just don't want to, forget something about that summer. I mean, that was right before camp too, so that really built a momentum for the Burlington campus. Kind of coming to the end here, because I only going through July 2013 through August 2015. So that was June of 2015 with Project Burlington. Camp was July of 2015. That was all about Shock the City was the theme of the camp. We had some fun. Didn't we have some fun? Just summer camp and winter camp names. Because the winter camp, remember, it was Bright Lights. In winter camp 2015, I forgot to talk about that. That was called Multiply. Winter camp 2015 was called Multiply. Pretty much didn't even talk about that winter camp, but it was great. I was healthy again, a lot of momentum. God did a lot of amazing things. That's what was. Actually, I got to back up. I apologize. No, I don't. It's my podcast, so I can do what I want. So you're just so lucky to come along. I told you it's always going to be a crazy bumpy ride. This is talking about crazy bumpy rides here. So back up really quick before we wrap up. We get a back up before we wrap up. You're welcome. So coming out of winter camp 2015, wow, got to back up like 6 months, 5-6 months. It was pretty awesome. That was also around the time when I got involved in the wrestling team. I got one more hat for you. It's not a wrestling hat, but it was what I wore for like wrestling meets and stuff like that. Now I'm fully matching here. First, let's see, January 2015, November 2015 really, and then went into the new year, was my first wrestling season, I believe, with the wrestlers. And so that was, November 2014 was the first season. I went into January 2015. And so I was part of the wrestling team. So all you wrestlers out there, this is where we begin a little bit. I'm not going to share too much, but I remember how excited I was, and I really wanted to serve that team. Just volunteered my time throughout the time I was there for the 5 or 6 years that I served the wrestling team. Actually, I ended up serving them for 6-7 years, and so many great memories. I'll talk about that even more in some of the next part 2 and part 3. But yeah, winter camp was great. That February, called Multiply, started wrestling, being a wrestling coach. That's really, man, I loved being inside the 4 walls. If there's one thing I discovered being with Youth for Christ, is I really loved being inside the 4 walls. That's where I came, the 4 walls of the school, the 4 walls of the school, the high school. When I walked in there, was with those students. That's really, I believe, where I came alive, and I enjoyed ministry a lot. That's where my missional ministry came in. My vocational was in the 4 walls. So as we bring it to the end, you're welcome. Remember, we had to back up, and now we wrap up. That was Shock the City Summer Camp 2015, and that was kind of like my second, it was my second summer camp back. And I remember we also had Ellis. He was about 6 months old, and I remember holding him up at the altar that summer camp and just weeping and being so grateful and thankful for better health, for youth ministry, for a healthy church, for everything that God was doing. I was just so grateful and thankful what was, just for my life, for my marriage, for my kids, to be a part of such a great church, not perfect church, but a great church. And just holding my little boy in my arms up at the altars where I cried so many tears, where God did so much in my life at Spencer Lake. It was really surreal, really stinking surreal, people. And just really, man, just thinking about it a little bit more right now, just in the moment as I'm talking to you. Yeah, God's good. He is, he was, he is, and he will always be, no matter what we walk through, no matter how hard things are. So that kind of wraps up this episode. We backed up, now we wrapped up, and I just wanted to encourage all of you bivocational, vocational pastors out there. Again, if you listen to this, and I hope you heard my heart through it all. I mean, if you didn't, I can't really help with that. I can't control your response or how you receive things, but I just want to talk to, again, those specific youth pastors or pastors out there that are going through a hard time, that have gone through a couple churches, maybe just become part of a new church and your heart is calloused and you don't know if you can open up again. And I just encourage you, as hard as it is, just go all in. Because if you don't, you're just doing a disservice to those students, to that church, to that community, to yourself, to all the people that you're going to reach. You got to go all in. And if you're not ready to go all in, then you're not ready. There's no harm there. There's no harm to get help, process through it. You know, believe it or not, I don't know if I was even ready to go all in when I first started at Burlington, but by going all in, it helped me through the process to heal, if that makes sense. I'm not saying it was the right way, but it's the way I did it, and I'm grateful that, and I wouldn't do it any different, and I'm grateful that it helped me get through it. So just want to encourage you out there, just lean on people. If you're married, lean on your spouse, lean on your family, lean on your mentorship team, and just know that if you've been hurt before by the church, remember there's grace both ways. No one's perfect, and you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be worth it. So that's a little bit of my story in Burlington. I'm sorry if some of the dates seemed off, if I backed up too much, if I was all over the place, if you couldn't keep track. Well, hey, guess what? Go back and listen to it again. You're welcome. I tried my best. I had notes, my friends, my passenger friends. I had notes, and I still forgot to read things, as you saw, and I had to go back, and I probably repeated dates a couple different times. It didn't make sense. You know what? It don't matter. Hopefully, you got a good idea of my first couple years in Burlington, Wisconsin, and in my third vocational ministry job. And again, as I said in the beginning of the episode, this was my lived experiences, my perspective, my opinions. If you have something different to share, start your own podcast. Start your own podcast. So hey, here's the deal. I'm going to shut this thing down, but you can stay tuned. In the next couple weeks, we're going to wrap up season 1, episode 11 and 12. Episode 11, just to remind you, is going to be part 2 of Burlington. It's going to be September 2015 through August 2017. And then we'll finish up season 1 with episode 12 with part 3 of Burlington, September 2017 through August 2017. Sorry, August 2019. So there we go. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for sharing. Thanks again for subscribing. Thanks again for passing this on. All your likes, all your hearts, all your support. Thank you so much, my passenger friends. I feel the love. And we're finally going to shut things down. So thank you once again for your patience today, and following along with me, buckling up all the turbulence, the speed bumps, the curves, the brake checks. You like that one? But hey, all right, my passenger friends, I hope you enjoyed your ride today in the Carffice. I hope it helped you in your current location or towards your next destination. Until next time, be well.